Hey and welcome. Today, we are going to break down a super powerful 7-step roadmap for anyone, and I mean anyone, who wants to learn artificial intelligence. No fluff, just the exact steps you need to get going. Let's dive in. So if you're looking at the whole world of AI and just feeling completely overwhelmed, you are definitely not alone. It is a huge, complex field, and honestly, knowing where to even start is the biggest hurdle. So many people get stuck right here before they even write a single line of code. And this quote from our source material, it just hits the nail on the head. It perfectly captures that frustration. People are always talking about these amazing tools and big concepts, but they almost never lay out a clear step-by-step path. Well, that's exactly what we're going to fix right now. Okay, here it is. This is your complete roadmap. 7 clear stages designed to take you from a curious beginner to a really capable creator. We're going to walk through every single one of these step by step to make sure you're building your skills on a rock-solid foundation. First things first, we have got to build that foundation. I mean, you wouldn't build a house starting with the roof, right? So this first part is all about learning the language of AI and grabbing your most essential tools. Let's start with the big one, AI itself. The simplest way to think about it is like teaching a little kid. You show them a bunch of pictures of a cat and a bunch of pictures of a dog. You point out the differences, and pretty soon they can tell them apart all on their own. We're basically doing the same thing, just with machines. Next up, we've got machine learning, or ML. The best way to get this is to think about learning to ride a bike. Nobody can give you a perfect step-by-step manual, right? Your brain just kind of figures it out through trial and error, and probably falling down a few times. That's machine learning. It learns from experience, not from a rigid set of instructions. And then you have LLMs, large language models. This is the magic behind tools like ChatGPT. The best analogy? Just imagine someone who has read the entire internet. Seriously, they've absorbed so much text that they can now hold a coherent, human-like conversation about pretty much anything. That's an LLM. So here's your first real goal. Don't just be the person who can throw these buzzwords around at a party. Spend a week, maybe 2, and really dig in. Understand what these terms actually mean, how they work, and where you see them in your own life, because they're everywhere, from your phone's face unlock to Spotify's weekly playlist for you. Okay, now that you've got the concepts down, you need your main tool. And for AI, that tool is Python. Just like the slide says, think of it like a paintbrush for a painter. It isn't the art itself, but it's the instrument you're going to use to create all this cool stuff. And the best part? It's actually designed to be simple and easy to read. Now hold on, don't let this list freak you out. Seriously, you do not need to become a Python master right away. Just focus on these basics. Think of variables as little boxes for storing information, if-else statements as decision makers, and loops for doing the same thing over and over. Just get comfortable, write some tiny programs, and remember, consistency is way more important than intensity. All right, with our foundation set, it's time to power up the engine. This is where we go beyond just vocabulary and start digging into the core mechanics of how machines actually learn. This is where the magic really starts to happen. Welcome to machine learning. This is the moment things get real. You're no longer just learning about AI. You're starting to learn how to do AI. This stuff is the backbone of most of the applications you use every single day. The 2 main flavors here are supervised and unsupervised learning. Supervised is like having a teacher who gives you a worksheet with all the answers, like a folder of photos all perfectly labeled cat or dog. Unsupervised is more like being given a giant pile of Lego bricks and being told to sort them. You have to discover the patterns and categories all by yourself. Now, this is one of the biggest challenges you're going to run into. It's called overfitting. And we all knew that student in school, right? The one who crams, memorizes every single answer for the test, gets an A. But a week later, they can't actually apply any of that knowledge. An overfit model does the exact same thing. It's perfect on the data it's already seen, but it completely falls apart on new stuff. So, if machine learning was algebra, now we're stepping up to calculus. Welcome to deep learning. It's more complex, for sure, but it is also incredibly powerful. This is the technology that lets computers see, hear, and understand language in a really sophisticated way. So how in the world does a neural network actually see something? Well, it's all about layers. The very first layer might just see simple things, like lines and edges. Then, the next layer combines those lines into basic shapes, like circles and squares. The layer after that starts to recognize more complex parts, like ears and whiskers. And finally, the last layer puts it all together and confidently says, "That's a cat." Each layer just builds on the last one, getting smarter and smarter as it goes.
Okay, you've learned the theory, you understand the mechanics. Now for the really exciting part, turning all of that head knowledge into something real, something you can actually use. This section is all about application and creation.
I absolutely love this quote. You can read music theory for years, but you can't truly play until you pick up a guitar and start strumming, right? Projects are your performance. All the theory in the world doesn't mean a thing until you can actually build something with it. This step is so crucial. And here are some fantastic ideas to get you started. Build a simple model that can tell a cat from a dog. Create a tool that checks if a movie review is positive or negative. You could even build your own simple recommendation engine, just like Netflix does. The whole goal here is to get your hands dirty and make something real. And this brings us right to the cutting edge, generative AI. See, until just recently, AI was mostly about understanding and classifying data that already existed. Now, it can create entirely new things, brand new images, music, code, and conversations, all from scratch. This is the wave that is changing absolutely everything right now. Okay, final section. We're in the home stretch. You've built your skills, you've created some projects, so now what? How do you take all of this and carve out your own unique place in the massive world of AI? Let's talk about specializing and building for your future. At this point, you really need to think about specializing. Do you love building solid, reliable systems that people can depend on? Then you might be an AI engineer. They're like the architects who make sure AI is accessible and works for millions of users. Or maybe you're fascinated by finding the hidden stories in data. That's a data scientist. They're the detectives who help businesses solve real-world problems. Or maybe you want to be on the newest frontier, building crazy new apps with LLMs. That's a Gen AI expert. Just pick a lane that genuinely gets you excited. And as you move forward, please remember this. This journey is long. Some days are going to feel amazing, and other days are going to be incredibly frustrating. The people who succeed aren't always the smartest geniuses. They're the ones who just keep showing up day after day. The single most important thing you can do is just be consistent. You know, we are still in the very early innings of this whole transformation. Being able to understand AI will soon be as common as being able to use a computer. The opportunities are just unprecedented, but they won't last forever. You have the roadmap. The time to learn, the time to build is now. So the only question left is, what will you create?